The second program we'll be talking about is the Manager on Duty program. I would like your Manager on Duty program to run from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. The purpose of the MOD program, it serves a couple purposes. One is when you have a new admit come in, it's nice to have a director there that isn't somebody that has a full checklist of things that they absolutely have to do. Your nurse is trying to do their assessments, your CNA is trying to get that resident situated while caring for their other residents. If you have a director there that serves as sort of an administrator on duty, they're making sure the customer service is good. So we have an admit come in. I'd like that person to greet the Gurney, meet the Gurney at the front door, welcome the resident, walk them to their room, ask them if they want anybody to be called, introduce them to the caregivers on duty, hand them hopefully we have a handbook for the building, what the expectations are for the resident, what the expectations are for the staff. Set up their channel guide, hand them their channel guides to know what TV channels they have available. Make sure they've eaten, and just basically acclimate that resident to the building. It's a whole different feeling when somebody does that for you versus just being dropped off in your building and then dealing with nurses and CNAs who seem to be in very much of a hurry. Also, the Manager on Duty is there to intercept any customer service issues. Again, when your nurses have triage to do or doctors to call or checklists of things they have to handle, they're not always the best people to sit down in a separate room with a family member and discuss problems. Oftentimes you'll see nurses or CNAs in the hallway or over a med cart trying to discuss an issue with a family member. And this gives the family member the feeling that we don't take it too seriously. So even if it's a nursing issue, it's better for it to be handed off to an MOD, a director, or an administrator that can go sit with the family member in a quiet room and give them the attention they deserve and need. And that's the whole purpose of the Manager on Duty program is we're beefing up our customer service. We're making sure that people are getting the attention they need and the care they need. And then we're having the discussions quietly, patiently, and not in a rush with our most important customers, our families and our residents. And that's the purpose of the MOD program. How the MOD program is done is just as important as having it. All these programs really are going to require being very, very careful to be fair across the board with all your directors. I've heard some people say the MDS director shouldn't have to do these programs. And some people say your therapy director shouldn't have to do these programs. Every director, every salaried employee in your building needs to understand they need to carry an equal weight of these programs. There are these jobs in a nursing home which equivocate to like a big bowl of cereal, let's say. And they're both nobody's jobs and everybody's job. If everybody takes an equal amount, an equal spoonful, you'll have a good building. If they're not assigned in these ways through these programs, they'll fall through the cracks, and you're really just hoping that people have a good experience. These programs are really in place to make sure and guarantee that people have a good experience, that your program, your facility has resources and has a future. Because without that, you're just guessing and hoping. So you want to have systems in place that pick up those things that would fall through the cracks. And this is one of them, is what happens after 5 p.m. You don't know that your nursing manager is not going to be busy. You don't know that your nursing manager is not going to be in the middle of a triage situation. So, but if you have a director there, you know somebody that's available to deal with a customer service problem to make sure somebody has an extraordinary experience. We don't want to gamble on having an average experience or having an angry experience. We want to make sure that anybody that has a question or problem gets it answered and feels cared for. And we have to be fair across the board with our staff. So all the directors have to take an even piece of this pie. So what I would do is, and this is a little more complex, is you're going to pick out a certain amount of months based on how many directors you have. So 3 months or 4 months. And then every director will have X amount of weekdays and X amount of weekend days to work as MOD. And those should be divided up evenly. I used to hand them out based on seniority. So the person that's been there the longest, I don't care if it's the maintenance director, the activity director, or whoever it is, they go first. And then it goes up through seniority, who gets to pick their days first, second, third, fourth, etc. And we can talk about that more in person. But I think it's most important, these programs, that you're being fair across the board and everybody's treated fairly and equally. These programs can do as much bad as good if we're not careful with that. I think the administrator needs to keep and enforce a monthly MOD schedule. The administrator should call the building daily between 6:30 and 7 to make sure that the MOD is still there and that and any new admits are getting greeted. The MOD programs and schedule locations are reviewed and new employee orientation to ensure all staff understand the program and know where to find the schedule. The MODs need to know and introduce themselves to the staff when they're the MOD and tell them they're the MOD in case there's a problem. I think that's kind of it for the manager on duty program.